With a career potentially over and more, this is Pro Wrestling Central. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Reacting to her loss of the US title to Zelina Vega on SmackDown, Chelsea Green posted this video to X.
I'm still the champion. I don't care what anyone says.
Ma'am.
I don't care what. What? Do you know who I am? I'm the first ever longest reigning, most dangerous champion that there ever was. I'm putting myself with historic Americans. Not here. Not here. Oh. This is perfect. I salute you. Oh, God.
Mentioning the possibility of Paul Heyman turning on him, Seth Rollins noted on the Rich Eisen show, this is a business relationship, and that's the thing, that's the beauty of it. I don't want to get too deep into it, but you've got the two greatest minds in the history of our industry coming together to create and push forward for the future of our industry. Roman Reigns ain't around enough, CM Punk's not reliable enough, I am both of those things, and Paul Heyman is dedicated to this industry. He will always do what is best for business, and so will I, and so I think that is a nice arrangement, you know? And I'm smarter than those two, Punk and Roman, so I'm not worried about any betrayals or any chaos like that. We've got this thing dialed in. I'm very excited to see where it leads. Reviewing The Rock's interview on the Pat McAfee show, Stevie Richards said this on his podcast: "The Rock is gaslighting the fans and everybody else. He's trying to say this was the plan all along, when we all know it wasn't. This interview is just good old-fashioned hardcore gaslighting, acting like what we saw with our own eyes wasn't what really happened. It's like he's telling the fans, you're stupid, you didn't understand what we were doing. We had it figured out all along. It's gaslighting. Plain and simple. He's literally trying to retroactively explain this whole Soul storyline after the fact like it was some grand design. No one understood it because it didn't exist until after the fact. This feels like a Hollywood country club meeting. It's overly complicated. It's PR speak. It's garbage. Wrestling is simple. It's supposed to slap you in the face with emotions. If you're the anchor of the storyline, how can you just vanish at the finish? The anchor doesn't float away when you need it the most. You're telling me you didn't know Travis Scott was coming out, but you're the final boss? You're on the TKO board. How stupid do you think we are?" Providing details on WWE's acquisition of AAA, Ringside News wrote that WWE made tons of headlines during WrestleMania 41 weekend by officially acquiring Mexican lucha libre promotion AAA, and with such an acquisition, some changes are expected. In fact, it appears that AAA talent are now told to learn English following WWE's acquisition. According to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, the leadership at AAA has told their roster that they need to start learning English and begin working more in an American wrestling style. This change is likely aimed at helping talent appeal to a wider international audience, especially in the US market. This is backed up by AAA talent director Latin Lover, who recently told Infobay in an interview that wrestlers in AAA need to learn English because it's very important for their future. He explained that it's not just about being good in the ring, having a strong body, eating right, or wearing a good-looking outfit. Learning English is also a big part of being successful. Lover mentioned that many wrestlers from AAA and other places like the World Wrestling Council had chances to work in bigger companies, but they didn't take those chances because they didn't know English. He said that in places like WWE, talking is a big part of wrestling, like doing interviews, backstage scenes, and telling stories. Knowing English also helps wrestlers talk clearly with their bosses and the people in charge. So aside from preparing with wrestling, aside from preparing with a good physique, putting in the effort in the gym, taking care of your diet, aside from preparing with a good, beautiful, elegant wrestling team, you have to learn English. Because how many wrestlers, not only from AAA, but also from the World Wrestling Council, have had the opportunity to go work there, but they don't apply themselves or they don't grasp English? And well, a lot of wrestling there is also talking, telling the story on the microphone, in the challenges that take place backstage, in the ring, out of the ring, or simply so you can maintain good communication with your immediate superiors or with the owner of the WWE. WWE also announced that the deal was made in partnership with Philip, a sports and entertainment company from Mexico. If everything goes as planned, the deal should be finalized by the third quarter of 2025, after completing all the normal legal and business procedures. With WWE buying AAA, wrestling is stepping into a new era focused on blending cultures and growing talent from around the world. For AAA wrestlers, this is both a big challenge and a huge chance to shine on a global stage. Therefore, learning English could be their first step toward becoming global superstars. Talking about how she's been feeling since speaking out about her divorce, Charlotte Flair told People, "I've felt a bit exposed. I think a weight has been lifted off my shoulders because Charlotte had to be so perfect and pristine all the time, and people couldn't separate the character and who I am in real life. So getting all of these things that have been really hard for me off of my chest, like this is who I am, accept me, it feels like I don't have to, not necessarily hide, but I'm not worrying about, what's going to happen today. Or in an interview, are they going to ask me and I'll have to pivot to something else? It's like, this is the authentic me, and it feels really good. On the opposite side of WrestleMania, I think I will tap more into that and kind of try to bring me, Ashley, the real person, to Charlotte. Because I do feel like Charlotte really isn't, the character I made is not relatable. If I could be Charlotte in my real life, I would. In reality, if I wasn't here right now, I'd be in sweats watching old episodes of Sex and the City. But no, I feel like at this stage of my career, I'd like to pull the curtain back a little bit and show them like, hey, I've been this hardcore, dominant bitch for however many years, but I'd like to also be able to high-five the kids as I walk down the aisle. Asked about returning to in-ring action following his loss to Jon Moxley at AEW Wrestle Dream in October, Bryan Danielson said this to Jamal Niaz: "Yeah, but my neck is wrecked, so it's not no chance, but it's risk versus reward at this point, right? So I want to be able to live comfortably with my wife and kids. One of the things our society has a real problem with is realizing when enough is enough, and I'm very satisfied with my career, and I think enough is enough." Recalling his cage match in AEW against Adam Copeland, Aleister Black said this on the Wrestling the Rap Game podcast: "The cage match was great. It was definitely one of my favorite matches that I've done in AEW. And Adam is just the man. Like, he's, damn it, and he was very giving. And we had such a blast in there. I just remember I lost so much blood in that match. I lost about a pint and a half. That's what they think. Jesus, because it bled so long and so profusely. It was like it was pouring out, but it added so much, and also because you don't see me bleed that often. Yeah, it was just like that cage match had to be violent. I think we absolutely added a level of violence in there that was like slow, methodical, but then also very precise and quick at times." Naming those on his pro wrestling Mount Rushmore, Ric Flair noted on Busted Open Masters class, "I think Shawn Michaels is the greatest worker in the history of business. I would go with Shawn, Undertaker, Steve Austin, and Hulk Hogan for sure." Explaining why he attempts to reinvent himself in WWE, Seth Rollins said this at WWE World: "Well, I get bored too, It's not necessarily boredom, but you get that vibe like, oh man, I want to freshen this up. I want to do something new. I want to change my look. I want to change my tone. I want to change the way I do this or do that. That was something that I never really imagined that it would get the response that it has. The fact that people sing it like crazy every single night, still years later, is something that I wouldn't have assumed when I put it together. This character kind of started as a bad guy, but at some point it just took on a life of its own, and that had nothing to do with what I was doing. That was just you guys responding to me. It's a synergy between a performer and his audience to see what you guys want, and then what I can give to you. I love that process. It brings the best out of me to face what my weaknesses are and try to improve and reinvent and to get better every year that I'm in WWE. Giving his take on Jon Moxley being suplexed back first onto a bat with spikes on it, AEW President Tony Khan told Way of the Blade, when Mox had the spike bat in his back, that was a great wrestling moment. It was memorable. It helped drive box office for us. It was highest rated episode of the year. It went viral. It's one of the most watched videos of the year. It's probably the most watched video of the year in AEW. It's a fantastic moment. It made new fans and created interest. It was on TMZ. There are people who weren't watching AEW that saw it. It brought outside fans in and created casual interest. Talking about those that are critical of Jey Uso, who won the World Heavyweight title from Gunther at WrestleMania, Paul Heyman said this to Shaq Wrestling. When people say, well, you know, Jey Uso's been kind of a letdown. This whole thing with Jey Uso has been kind of a letdown. It's not what we originally thought it was going to be. The reaction to Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble was so overwhelming. Then it kind of simmered down. Really? By what metric? He's driving numbers. He's moving revenue. He's a commerce facilitator. He's selling tickets. He is bringing in revenue to a company that's publicly traded, and therefore with that gross revenue and therefore the net revenue, the stock goes up. Where has he not scored? So those who say he has not scored or has been disappointing or is less than he was at the Royal Rumble do not know what they're talking about. Going over a star that TNA Wrestling is trying to get under a new deal, Ringside News wrote that TNA isn't looking to lose one of their top names without a fight. According to Fightful Select's Sean Ross Sapp, TNA has already started talks with Ace Austin about staying put. TNA sources claimed this week they had begun talks with Ace Austin to keep him with the company, the report said. There's no word yet on how deep into negotiations they are, but TNA is hopeful they'd retain him. Austin last re-signed with TNA in March of 2024, but it looks like the company isn't taking any chances with his future, especially with bigger promotions always circling hot talent. There's also some uncertainty around Chris Bay's situation. Bay's original TNA contract would have been up by now, but with his injury, it's unclear what the status is moving forward. TNA clearly knows they need to keep their roster tight if they want to stay in the game, and Ace Austin's next move could be a big piece of the puzzle. With AAA set to be acquired by WWE, booker for the promotion and former WCW star Konnan said this regarding his future with WWE on K100. I am going to be on their creative team. He said he would be answering to Dorian Roldan Pena, Paul Triple H Levesque, and Shawn Michaels. Responding to critics that felt AAA was struggling before this sale, Konnan said, "Our problem in AAA isn't our talent. It's not our booking. It's that we didn't have any money. If AAA put all our TVs together for 1 year, it's not as much as they, WWE, spend on one TV in the United States. We are working with WWE. It doesn't get any better than that. And so our show will look a lot better and we're going to be able to work with their talent. and now with money, you'll see what we can do. The reason they sold the company is because Dorian Roldan put his ego on the side and he understood we could never grow if we didn't have help and capital, and now we have it. The last 2 years, all of our TVs have been from 85% to full. Noting a potential challenge for stars in AAA moving on to WWE, Konnan said, "I think the biggest thing for Mexican talent is going to be learning the language." Recalling Gable Steveson's run in WWE, specifically his match against Steveson at NXT The Great American Bash 2023 that ended in a double countout, former WWE star Baron Corbin told Busted Open Radio, "The original plan was for me to beat him, and then we were going to come back and do another one where there was a no finish, and then obviously in the end of it, he was going to murder me. Obviously, that's an iconic feat to win a gold medal. Let's put that out there. That is incredible, but this is a business of entertainment and we want people to buy into you. Maybe you just have to take that L and go, I'm going to come back better. This is a different world. I'm new to this world. I mean, I'm just going to say without putting too much out there that he rubbed some people the wrong way. After that match, the way that went down, I think he lost a lot of opportunity, especially in that NXT building." And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.